Let's start with this one. The overview for the cattle pregnancy diagnosis would be first to do external examination, which is still rampantly being done, especially for non-veterinarians, no? And this can be, the skill of doing external examination can be acquired over time, no, through experience. And for the technicians and for veterinarians, we do internal examination, such as rectal palpation and ultrasonography. So theriogenology is not really strictly being practiced by veterinarians. So we have paravets and then even, agriculturists who can do pregnancy diagnosis by rectal palpation and even through ultrasound. And this is not only being practiced here in the Philippines, but also abroad, no? So you will see in really big operations in beef cattle herds in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK, United States. Now, several of those that are doing the ultrasonography for pregnancy diagnosis are not veterinarians. So they are just, more of specializing or just leaving the difficult diagnosis for diseases, reproductive diseases, to the veterinarians. Okay? Wait a moment. Ayan. Okay, to proceed, for a more in-depth examination, we can do laboratory. And so this one, most of the veterinarians are the ones doing this. Or sometimes we have, microbiologists who can do this, biotech, no? Biotech personnel who can do this as well, to be supervised by veterinarians. And these laboratory examinations are more so being done for research purposes, ganon. And on a production scale or on a production level, meaning on the farm setup, the laboratory examinations are not widely being done. So we mostly do internal examination, no? And sometimes we do laboratory examination for early diagnosis, no? But the parang more straightforward way or practical way to really achieve the early diagnosis would be through ultrasound, no? So you just need, one technical unit, which is the ultrasound, rather than for the assays, no? So you have other laboratory equipment that you need to set up, no, before doing such procedures. Okay, in a production farm, of course, you want your pregnancy diagnosis to be as accurate as possible, because the consequences, no, there are steps to be done after deciding if the animal is positive or not, no? So you want to be as accurate so that you will have a sound decision, after the pregnancy diagnosis. And you want it to be as early as possible so that you will not lose time and you will not have to feed the animal that the animal is not yet pregnant. So in a production setup, you want them to be efficient, right? No, so that you will not have loss at any point in time in your production setup. Okay. Second to that, no, this is already just a minor goal, no, is for you to identify the sex. But it's important for you to, of course, determine if the fetus is still alive. Because with knowing that, okay, and knowing that if the fetus is no longer alive, then you have to do drastic steps later on, such as aborting the fetus, etc., so that the dam will go back to the cycle again, okay? It's also important for you to determine the age of the fetus And this can actually be done right, early on by knowing when the cattle was bred, no? If you have up to the top record keeping, you will not really have any problems of surprise pregnancies, no? Because you are on top of each of your animals, and when they would go into heat, when they got bred, so you will know when, no, would be their pregnancy diagnosis date as well, no? So, but there are times, especially if you're working in a ranch, and sometimes, they just see their animals twice a year, same in Australia when you round them up. So you only see them twice a year when you do the deworming, when you do the vaccination, and they're out in the field, in the paddock for the rest of the year. So you will not know if they have been bred. So this would be a good a tool for you to know as well if you do rectal palpation and ultrasonography to determine the age of the fetus inside, so that you can already segregate them, no? That's the better way to manage your herd, to segregate them so that the proper nutrition will be given to the dam, okay? And you can also determine, no, if on the late pregnancy, if they are fit for vaccination, for deworming, so that the fetus will have some kind of protection when it's born, and against, the worms and diseases, that the vaccines protect against. And then like as I said, there is an indirect or a secondary priority for the sex of the animal, but for really strict operations, you wouldn't want any males, right? No. So the production, I mean the farm can opt to abort male fetuses, no? But I have not really learned of any operation that does that. But it was a plan in a place where I worked for, but I did not execute it. No. Okay. For the external signs, this would come later in the pregnancy. We have 9 months pregnancy in the cattle, and we divide it into three: the first trimester, second trimester, and the third trimester. And we can only see these external signs from mid-trimester to the last trimester. So several of the goals that you would want when you do pregnancy diagnosis is not going to be attained when you just rely on the external signs, right? No, because you will not have that early pregnancy diagnosis. It's not accurate. No, we see here it's not reliable, and the enlargement of the abdomen could be that the animals just fed mostly by grass, no? Parang pot-bellied siya. And it could be that the animal is also just always full, no? So this one is unreliable. So to dig deeper, you can do ballotment, no? And observe movement. But again, this is difficult, no? Even for experienced veterinarians, to rely on the movement, because this will not really happen at the time that you want them to move, no? So you have to wait for a long time and to really observe closely if you would see any fetal movements, okay? But on the ballotment, this would be difficult for novice veterinarians, and you have to experience and to gain the skill of knowing the parang consistency of the sound, no, the high pitchness of the sound for you to really do well in the ballotment, okay? And on the mammary changes, this can be variable, especially if the animal is especially if the animal has already given birth, prior. So this is the dam is not a spring heifer, meaning it's not the first time for the animal to give birth or get pregnant. So the other has already developed from the pregnancy early on, and you cannot rely that the development of the other is because of the present pregnancy, no? So over time, when you really look into a lot of cattle, you will develop that clinical eye to know that, oh, this is a dry dam already. So meaning dry, she was lactating before, no? So she gave birth before. So you will gain that clinical eye, no, just looking at the udder, that this is not like a fresh udder, like, or like a spring heifer udder that's pregnant right now, no? And over time, of course, you have to also try to communicate with the caretakers to gain more records to really know that the mammary development you're seeing is not because of the pregnancy, okay? But usually this would show up to be of the 9 months, no, so mga 6 to 7 months, you will see enlargement of the ulcer already. And especially when it's about to pop, no, so 8 months to 9 months, it's really engorged. And even the teats, no, they're already full, and a few weeks to days before the due date, then you can see that milk is already leaking, no? Not to all cows, to some cows, milk may already leak. So if you want to see if it's already on the week of parturition of the dam, then you can milk out, no, to see if the milk is already watery or still sticky, no? But you don't have to milk it a lot, no, because you want to preserve the colostrum for the calf that would be coming out. Okay. On other external signs, we see here pelvic changes. No, there's already relaxation, especially on the days before or on the day of parturition. No, the cervical plug will already liquefy, and the color is from white or beige to light brown or even brown, but it's a sticky matter that would be dripping on the vulva of the animal, and it may contain some blood, no, but it's an indication that the pelvic plug or the cervical plug, I mean, has started to liquefy. So then the contents from the inside, it's starting, I mean, it's already preparing for the contents of the inside to go out, no? Okay, and through external signs, honestly, these pelvic changes are difficult to really observe, no? And so we look into the other signs, no? On early on sign that we can observe is cessation of the estrus behavior. So we know that the estrus cycle of cattle is every 21 days. So on the day of breeding, it's important that you know when the breeding date was. You count 21 days after, and here on forward, no, every 21 days. So on the first 21 days, if it did not come into heat, then you have like 50% chance that the animal is really pregnant. But at the time, you know, it's still too early to do any intervention such as rectal palpation or ultrasound. And then the second 21 days, that would be on the 42nd day, right? At this time, you can already do palpation and ultrasound. So you can already determine, no, ideally, if the animal is indeed pregnant, okay? We see some gestational heat here, and I have observed this in some cattle, such as on the day 9 after breeding, no, they would still come into heat. But you know, no, especially if you did AI, or if you saw or your staff saw that there was really good mating, so you will not really try to examine the animal again, no, for heat, no, and you just jot it down as this could be gestational heat. And you go into the program such as check on the 21st day after breeding if the animal is going to hit again or not, and do the palpation on the 45th or ultrasonography on the 30th day of supposed pregnancy, no, post-mating. Yan. Okay, now on the rectal palpation, this is easy. You don't need an expensive equipment, no, to do this. You just have to train yourself, no, so you invest on yourself, you to get the skill to practice, so that you will have accurate pregnancy diagnosis using just your arm, okay, your arm, your hand, and then your fingers, okay. It's not really 100% accurate, but it's cheapest accurate, you know, you get what I mean. It's I mean, ultrasonography can be more accurate than rectal palpation, but you have to invest on the ultrasonography machine, which is like 150 plus thousand pesos, right? But with the rectal palpation, it's accurate enough and it's cheap, no? And it's easy. So before doing ultrasonography, no, I mean, you have to be very good with doing rectal palpation first. I mean, it's better, no, not to skip that step, because if there's a time that you don't have the ultrasound, I mean, you can still do the pregnancy diagnosis. So if you are a bovine practitioner, you really get to go to places where, I mean, they may not be equipped with a unit, or you don't have the unit yourself yet, no? So you do the rectal palpation first, okay? We can only do, I mean, it's advisable for you to do the rectal palpation on the as early as 45th days post-breeding, and that's even for the experienced veterinarians, although you see here, that the goal is to have 100% accuracy at 35 days post-breeding. It's possible for experienced, palpators. But for those that are starting up, we usually do it on the 60th day post-breeding, okay? And there are times when it's difficult to palpate the animal. So what we do is to put suspect, no, that's letter S, and we have to go back and examine that particular dam in 7 days, no? And I mean, by that time, you have to have a good diagnosis already, because maybe you're just already tired, or maybe the dam is not cooperative, no? So you have this scenarios, not you inevitable scenarios. So don't be too bad, to feel bad about yourself if you cannot do a rectal palpation on a particular cow. Arrive at the pregnancy diagnosis on a particular cow doing rectal palpation on a given day, no? So it really happens. Okay. So we have to examine the entire tract, no, before declaring that the cow is open or not. So this means that you have to palpate the uterine body. You have to palpate the uterine horns, no, on each side. You have to palpate the ovaries, no, on each side. And for the ovaries, you have to palpate all sides of the ovary for each side, okay? And if you cannot get hold of one side, so this is one of the indications that you just declare that you just have to return and examine the animal again after 7 days, okay? And you find one of the positive signs of pregnancy before calling a cow pregnant. But for me, I would really not rely on just one positive sign, no, as much positive signs that I can get. Okay, one of the positive signs that we can have is, of course, the presence of the corpus luteum, right? And then the presence of the enlarged abdominal horn. And of course, you can feel if there's already the fetus, no? And the signs will be revealed to you later on. Okay, so that, like as stated here, no, if you're not sure, so you check the cow after 7 days. So these are your positive signs of pregnancy. Of course, number 1 is palpation of the fetus, okay? And the sample that I got, no, that's already in our freezer, although it's coming from a goat, no, so you can appreciate the cotyledons or caruncles that you see on figure 1. And you can also appreciate, no, it's a term pregnancy, meaning it's about to give birth in a week, no, about that. So the size of a fetus is already big. And we can, ano ba yun? We can copy, hindi ko makuha yung proper technical term, simulate, no? We can simulate, no, that as if you are palpating an animal that is about to give birth. So we're going to put the fetus inside like what you see in this picture, and then you're going to palpate it na parang ganyan as well, no? So you can palpate the caruncles, cotyledons. So that's one of the signs that's one of the structures that you have to feel. Okay, and the amniotic vesicles, basically it's this bag, no, where the fetus is in together with the amniotic fluid. And then the fetal membrane strip is on the major curvature, no, or the bigger side of the amniotic vesicle is when you feel that there's a slippery texture. So that's already the fetal membrane slip. Okay. Please give me 5 minutes. Now let's take a break. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so starting on how to do the pregnancy diagnosis, rectal palpation, no? You feel for fluid in the larger horn. So that's the membrane slip, no, fetal membrane slip that we're trying to feel. So the larger horn on the major curvature, no, you try to feel it. If it's like the feeling is like having water. So parang mataba yung feeling kasi when you try to pinch it, so mataba. So compared to if it's not filled with anything, the membrane is so thin that when you pinch it, there's nothing in between, no, because it's just a very thin membrane, no. But if you feel na parang mataba siya, it's fat, so, and it's slippery, so that's what you already call the fetal membrane slip. So this is very difficult. Actually, it's the one, it's if not one of, it's already the one. It's the one that's that I found difficult to really experience, to really feel, no, as part of the positive signs of pregnancy diagnosis in cattle. So I rely more of course, the easier one is if you already palpate the fetus. So you compare the size of the two uterine horns, and if one is larger, that's one of the indication that it's filled with something, right? So it's heavier because it may have the fetus, it may have the amniotic fluid or the chorioallantoic fluid, no? So you start with palpating the cervical plug as a cervix first, which is the hard part when you feel it, coming from this long tube here, no, which is from the vulva, vestibule, vagina. Then you have the cervix here, and you go through, no, trying to compare the size of the left uterine horn and then the right uterine horn. So with this picture, we see that the right one is enlarged, okay? And you go follow through with your hand, and then you try to grab the ovary, no? That's how you really do it, no? You follow through the course of the uterine horn, and not from this and jump to where the ovary is. And this is being done blindly, so you really don't know where the position of the ovary is, no? And it's free floating right here, so you don't know. Okay. So it has this smooth velvety feel that I more described earlier. Okay, and then when you compare which one of the horns is large, and you will feel that it's like a balloon with water inside. That is totally full. Okay, and going to the ovary now. Okay, you try to feel for any structures, and you want to feel the corpus luteum, which may not have a crown like this one. So it's just like a bean shape or an oval shape. But when you try to pinch it, the CL part is hard, and it may actually take over the rest of the ovary depending on depending on the cycle, depending on the age of the corpus luteum. Okay, so other than those that were already mentioned, so if the pregnancy is more than 75 days already, cotyledons may start to appear, which is feeling or palpating size of a cat or small potato. So that's more like the size of the cotyledons. But at first, no, at the level of 75 days, these potatoes are small, and they of course develop over the pregnancy, no, the later part of the pregnancy. So you cannot expect them right at this point that they are already as big as a cat at 75 days. So they will start small and then they grow bigger. The corpus luteum should be on the ipsilateral side, which means where the fetus is, it's also the side where you will feel the corpus luteum, no? So it's commonly just one corpus luteum to maintain the pregnancy. So if it's on the right side, which is on the earlier figures, the corpus luteum is on the right side and not on the left, okay? So it's okay, or like it's not abnormal or weird, no, to feel the left ovary to have medium follicles, no, small follicles, medium follicles, or even tertiary follicle, no. So sometimes kasi ano na it may happen na yun nga, like let's say gestational hit, parang ganon, no. But we have this good corpus luteum that's maintaining the pregnancy on the other side, okay? Now, relying on the presence of the corpus luteum is not really a sole positive sign of pregnancy. So that's not a good step or a good strategy to just palpate the CL and already declare that the animal is pregnant, because on a normal basis, even if the animal is not pregnant, CLs can be there, no? They can be present. And in the 21-day estrous cycles, CLs normally really develop, no? So you do not rely doing your pregnancy diagnosis on the CL itself. Okay. The fremitus is the very strong palpitation of the uterine artery because now it's supplying the fetus. And this sensation becomes stronger as the fetus grows. So this would be more evident from small Okay. So the a strong palpitation of the artery becomes stronger as the dam is already on the last trimester of pregnancy, no? Because the uterine the artery also enlarges compared to when it's on the first trimester because of the amount of blood that it has to, it has to cater passing through to supply the fetus. Okay. Why do we need to estimate the age of pregnancy? No, to predict, no, to plan. Basically, it's to plan ahead. No, and that includes predicting the dry off dates. Okay, when records are lost. So if honestly your record keeping is on top, okay, you're on top of it. Then you don't need to estimate the age of pregnancy through rectal palpation or ultrasonography. Okay, but you have to identify, you have to determine the age of pregnancy so that you would know when the animal will pop. Now, in some parts of the world, like in New Zealand, they have a seasonal calving, and that is every June. Okay, and the rest of the year, no, they just have, because they have a lot of dairy animals there. So it's a wise management program to have one in one pacing only, no? So everybody's calving, everybody's lactating, etc. No? As opposed to what we're having here in the Philippines, which is that the animals are getting pregnant and the animals are lactating all year round, no? Okay. At a certain point, no, you have this stable supply of milk because we don't have much of that here. So we want to ensure that we have milk production every month. Okay. So then if you know when they're popping out, so you can already plan out the nutrition. So for countries, like in New Zealand, they also have a season for planting. They have a certain plant that they plant on this particular month. No, so everything is already organized. So it works for them. Okay. Your age indicators, and this is mostly for pregnancy palpation only, no, would be the presence of the chorioallantoic fluid inside one of the fetal horns, and that would be felt from more than 28 days of the pregnancy. Then I already mentioned about the fetal membrane slip and the placentomes, the fetus, and then the fremitus. So it's difficult to really feel the fremitus during the early stage of the pregnancy. And you already know when the placentomes will start to emerge, okay? That is more than 75 days. So at least you can have your staging already of your pregnancy. It doesn't really have to be exact na like when you do palpation, this is on the 78th day of pregnancy. It doesn't have to be like that. So you can just do, announcing the month of the pregnancy. So, oh, this is more like 5 months into pregnancy, something like that. No, 7 months into the pregnancy. Ayan. Okay. The earliest presumptive diagnosis would be using rectal palpation would be the asymmetry, as you can see on the figure 4, no? So on the right side, you have symmetric, no? More like equally sized left and right horn. Okay. And on the left side, you see a gravid right uterine horn. So this one is more obvious, no? Even when you do this blindly, so you have to train yourself, that to feel, using your fingers. So kung mahilig ka magmahjong, you're on meron kang ang tawag dito, meron kang edge. Meron kang edge when you do rectal palpation. Okay. So each of your fingers, should be sensitive so that it could give you signals, to your brain what you're feeling at that moment. And this is the chorioallantoic membrane slip. Okay, I already described that earlier. So that is how it feels. Okay, on the greater curvature yan. Okay, same. And greater curvature. And then you have your placentums. So for the membrane slip here, this would be the feeling that you're going to get, yung thickness between the membranes. So that's why yan. Ayan. So we usually don't allow novice palpators to examine animals that are in their early pregnancy because too much palpation, or too much trying to manipulate the uterus can damage the pregnancy. Okay, so you have to put this in mind, yung different sizes. And this would help you really determine the rough age of the pregnancy. So I mentioned in our last meeting that you have to calibrate your hands, your fingers, what I do is parang I already have a mental picture of how long a centimeter and an inch is. So at least when I look at my hand, and I know like it feels from this tip of my pinky to this first line in my pinky. So I already know how long that is, or how large that is. So it would really help if you really calibrate each of your fingers. So you put a ruler and then you mark it. And you get that mental picture, and that will be very useful for you in your practice going forward with whatever species you decide to specialize on. Okay. So another chart here that would help you, try to determine, okay, the age of the pregnancy by using your hands, okay? Ayan. So localizing the amniotic fluid is by placing all four fingers dorsally and the tab ventrally along the greater curve. Okay, next is the palpation of the fetal head. Okay. You cannot do this in real life because figure 10, because you cannot really remove the head of the fetus outside of the membrane, but somehow you can do this, somehow you can localize this. So you just try as much as you can to achieve this step, pero hindi naman yan, not to really to put it out of the membrane kasi of course it will be dead by then. But with your fingers, you can play around with it and you can feel where the snout is up to the end of the head, and that would be important because that's the distance that we want to determine the age of the fetus. Okay. Okay, and just using your fingers, because that's what you're going to have when you do the rectal palpation, then you can see, you can determine the age of the fetus. Okay, now we go to the placentomes. And first palpated around 3 months of pregnancy. So that's one of your signs, no, that the animal is going to the second trimester, no? So around 3 months. And like mentioned earlier, it would start as small round items or round things, then it becomes larger later on. Okay, and so we are guided with these different sizes of round items, no? And these are American currencies. But basically we have also the the size here, no? 0.7 inch, that would be 100 days and so forth. Okay. And the location of the fetus can also help you determine the age of the pregnancy. And this is very evident. And this is one of the signs that I really try to consider determining the age of the pregnancy. So the fetus would descend to the bottom of the abdomen because it's starting to get big from 5 to 7 months. And then it's where they would be going, in different positions. Ayan. Up to the time then when they are already 7 months old, they will emerge again because they're already long. No, they're long. So they will be felt again right at the pelvic brim because they are large enough to have that size of their feet at the bottom of the abdomen, and then their forelegs together with their head reachable or palpable at the level of the pelvic brim. Okay? So that's how it is. No? Hindi siya yung parang walang scientific explanation na ba't kaya sila bumababa tapos bigla silang lilitaw ulit na for no reason at all. There's a reason for that, no? So para it will be easier for you to try to remember at what age. It just makes sense, di ba? Na of course they're getting bigger, they're getting heavier, so they would by gravity fall to the abdomen. But since they are larger, they are longer, you will already feel parts of their body at the pelvic brim at the age when they are already big, no? So that starts at 7 months. And ideally, they are in the regular position, and that is the head and then their foreleg na parang naka-Superman, no? With both legs stretched out, trying to parang reach out to you, no? So it's easier to pull them out, no? If you need to do that. Ganun yung tamang position. So otherwise, if the hind leg is near the pelvic brim, that's the breech position. Okay? So if you have cases where the animal aborted, the dam aborted, so you have this guide here on the size of the fetus, the aborted fetus, and determine the age of that aborted fetus. Okay, so this is to feel the fremitus, yan. And it, as I mentioned earlier, the diameter of the uterine artery grows over time as well. And so you have number 4 here, no, as the major at artery supplying the fetus. So that's why it becomes larger. So you feel this actually on the uterus itself, no, uterus, on the side of the uterus. But you can also feel it on top kasi that's the branch, like the mother branch, before it branches out to go to supply the fetus. So when I do rectal palpation, I try to scan all sides. So I scan the top, the ceiling. I scan the sides, no? And then I try to hold on to the uterus to feel the uterine artery on the side of the uterus. Okay? So remember your hand is on this side, the rectum, not below where you have your reproductive tract, no? This is an aseptic area, and even if you're clean, you're a foreign material, if you put in your arm here, and that could damage the pregnancy. So you put your arm on the rectum, and then on the rectal wall, you try to feel. So mafe-feel mo yan. And then grabbing the uterus, so you can feel number 4, and you can feel number 3, internal iliac artery crossing over. Okay? Okay. Okay, let's just skip this just for your reading and memorization. Okay. And these are your gestation days, and you can have these palpable structures, no? So early on in the pregnancy, so 60th days, that's 2 months. The best that you can feel would be the fetal membrane slip. Okay? And enlargement of the fetus. Yeah. So slightly enlarged na, slightly enlarged. Ayan. And that's still on the pelvic area. So from 3 months and to the 5 months, by gravity, it will fall down to the abdomen. And then, so how can we palpate if they are in the abdomen? You try to pull the uterus up, no? You try to pull it up, and then, so parang you try to pull it up gently. Okay. If you can pull it up, by the time that you pull it up, then you go further. So parang may timing na mangyayari, and you try to have a glimpse palpation of the fetus to feel if you can observe any placentomes, okay, and then the fetus and femtus, okay. So those are multiple signs. So you cannot really rely on just one positive sign to declare that the animal is pregnant. Okay. Next is of the palpation of the near-term fetus. So it's important for us to really palpate the head, because that means that the animal is in the upright position, the fetus. Okay. Then we also do check for the viability of the fetus by doing the pedal reflex. So you grab one of the forelegs, and in between the hoof, no, kasi ungulate siya, you try to pinch this membrane, and it will elicit pain, pero not so much pain naman. Parang kinurot mo lang siya, no? You pinch, the fetus should react, no? Bump, whatever, no? Should move to indicate that the fetus is alive. So you do that every time, no? If you feel like if you are presented a near-term animal with whatever if you can palpate them, no? So basically large animals yan, horses, carabaos, ganyan. You do the pedal reflex, okay? So these are your differential diagnosis if in case you have any abnormalities in the pregnancy. So you can have adhesions, pyometras, you know, pseudopregnancy, and termination of the pregnancy in the middle part. So you can have mummification, maceration. So you thought that you're palpating fetus, pero yun pala it's a tumor, yung mga ganon. Okay, so these are your differentials on pregnancy. Okay, next is on ultrasonography. This is the more accurate one as compared to rectal palpation, but it can be expensive. It's possible to achieve a 100% accuracy as early as 26 to 28 days. But, and you know, for easier calendar or scheduling of your activities, so we have a ball figure of 30 days post-breeding is when we do the ultrasonography. So the fetal heartbeat can be seen, no, as early as 21 days. And it's one of the positive signs that I really consider before I diagnose for pregnancy. And that is seeing the fetus in the ultrasound, observing the fetal heartbeat in the ultrasound, and observing the corpus luteum in the ultrasound. Okay. So in addition, as if I to rectal palpation, observation of the fetal heartbeat, no, that's the additional part. So if I cannot view the fetus properly, if I cannot achieve the good view of the fetal heartbeat, then I will reschedule for another examination after 7 days. Okay. If the fetus at that age, 30 days, they're suspended in the amniotic sac. So they would really turn around several times, especially if you're also massaging the uterus. So you can achieve the proper angle where you can better see the fetus, especially if you're also doing sexing. And there can be rough times when even with several manipulations, you cannot achieve the proper position that you want. So you just declare that you really have to go examine the dam again after 7 days. Okay. Yeah, fetal sexing is done on the second month of pregnancy, because the genital tubercles are more developed now, so it's easier for you to determine if the fetus will eventually become not eventually become, if the fetus is a male or a female. Okay. And the cost may be prohibitive because you have to purchase the ultrasound machine. Okay, so this is an old model already. So we have more compact handheld ultrasound now. And then we also have the portable one na parang laptop type, no? And ano na sila, mga flat screen units as compared to na parang mataba pa yung likod nila. Okay. And to prepare for the probe, this is how you do it. No, you have your rectal gloves here, and you invert the rectal glove so that these the sharp edges would be inside and will not cause trauma to the rectal wall of the animal. And you put the probe on the middle finger. First you put in gel on the middle hand, a finger, and then you insert the probe, no? So that will spread the gel onto the scanning area of the probe. So we use transrectal linear probe. Okay. So from your VISER 154, you should know that already. So this is how the ovary would look like, and you have this small circular black things as your developing follicles. And this is your ovarian stroma here, and this is the entire border, outline of your ovary. Okay, so this means that the animal is not cycling. It's not actively cycling. No, that's not wrong. The animal is cycling, but the follicles are not developed. Kasi meron kasing NOA, no ovarian activity, which means wala kang nakikitang follicles at all. No, they're just very small, and you see mostly ovarian stroma lang. So that's abnormal. So that's NOA. But we see here, they're about to start with the development of the follicles kasi you have multiple follicles surrounding the rest of the ovary. Okay, next, the dominant follicle. So from medium going to tertiary follicle or Graafian follicle, you see that it's just one remaining, no? Kasi the follicles, a batch of like 30 developing follicles already died and only one emerged. So that is the dominant follicle. Pero yan, makikita mo, there's a faint outline of the ovary because the consistency or the texture is different to the rest of the surrounding of the ovary, right? No, I hope you appreciate that. And for the corpus luteum, so it would appear as gray. No, so you have a side-by-side picture here. Your corpus luteum doesn't have to have a crown, meaning the protruding part. So some corpus luteum would just be inside the ovary. And it's up to how you palpate it, no? Mararamdaman mo yan eh. You gain that skill that when you try to pinch it, you will feel and you will know how deep the corpus luteum in the ovary, how big the corpus luteum is inside, no? But with ultrasonography, you see here, this is not the best picture, but it's grayish, no? It's more gray than ovarian stroma. And in this picture, you can say that the corpus luteum is more like the takes the full content of the ovary, no? Because you don't see any other structures than the corpus luteum. And that's possible. And that's actually a good corpus luteum. So in cases where you go into that stage, you examine, no? On the mid part of the estrous cycle, you can see medium follicles because you still have other follicles together with the medium follicles. So we have 3 developing follicles that will later die, and we have this medium follicle. When you say medium follicle, it would be 2 pa. They would be remaining 2 medium follicles until one will die, and then the other one will proceed to be a tertiary and a Graafian follicle. Okay, so we have a medium follicle. At the same time, we have the corpus luteum. By now, from your fissure tree, you have familiarity of the structures already when you do the estrous cycle. So I am expecting also from the previous lessons, I am expecting that you can already imagine at what age, no, at what day of the estrous cycle this would be, no? So nandito na yan sa part ng day 13, yan. Day 13, day 14, ganyan na ang pwede mong ma-expect. So when you do ultrasonography or even palpation without pregnancy, no? So ano pala yan? Repro-check lang ang tawag doon. Reproductive check. You can determine if the animal is really cycling, no? So you don't have any abnormalities. You should be able to determine the day the animal is in the estrous cycle by palpating or by viewing and determining the size of this two types of ovarian structures. Okay. And for pregnancy diagnosis, this is how an empty uterus would look like, which would not have any fluid. So that's why you don't see any black material inside the uterus, okay? And you would just see coils, no? Kasi that's many views of the ovarian tube, no, or the ovarian horn. Sorry, uterine horn or uterine body. Okay, so coming from empty uterus here, so you see ganyan. So how come we see a very small irregular black here, no? So it doesn't mean that this is pregnant, no? Why? Because animals that are in heat would normally have fluid like this one, no? So I didn't learn this when I was a student. I only, experienced this and over time gained the knowledge by self-continuing education, reading more books about this when I was already working. So this could be a sign that the animal will be in heat or in heat, ganon. But just looking into this ultrasonogram, it's not reliable to declare it as that. You have to observe external examination, look into the records, etc., so that you will have a better decision, better announcement that if the animal is really in heat. Okay. So yun lang. So even for non-pregnant uterus, you can see this black. Okay, but normally some majority of what I see is like this one. So when you see something like this, you looking back to your records, when was the last hit? So probably in a few days, the animal will go in heat. So you have to monitor her closely. Okay. So if the animal is pregnant, you will see more of the black item, which is of course the fluid inside the uterus. And we see some faint line that may be the fetus. Okay, so with manipulation of the probe, you can just have a better view of the fetus. Kasi like I said earlier, they're suspended inside the placenta, no? So they can be everywhere. Ano ba yun? Everything everywhere all at once. Pak. Ganon, na ipasok natin. Next, on the first month of gestation, you already see the placenta, no? So you have the amniotic vesicle, actually specifically the amniotic vesicle, and right here, it's suspended like that. Over time, the fetus will grow, of course. On the 60th day of gestation is when you do the fetal sexing, right? So the hind legs and the forelegs are already developed. You can easily observe the umbilical cord because they will also appear as gray structure right here at the middle, but not white because they don't have bones. No, the umbilical cord doesn't have a bone, only the legs. So this would appear more white as well because of the bones. So you would know that this is not a leg because it doesn't have any white structure inside. And then you will observe the spine, you will observe the ribs, you will observe the feet, the head. So you will know that this is the hind leg, okay? And from then on, you will see, later pa yung sexing yan, where the genital tubercles are. Okay, so over time, we try to follow through the appearance of the pregnancy in the ultrasonogram over this span of days. So in an interval of about 5 to 13 days, no, so we have here, it's exponential development at the early pregnancy. Okay, so as till they become 50 days. And then on the 100th day of pregnancy, the fetus can no longer fit inside the monitor. So it would be difficult to do the fetal sexing at that time. So that's why it's important that if you really have to do the fetal sexing, you do it at 50 to 60 days. That's the really good window. Because inside your frame, you can see all parts of the fetus. Okay. Oops. And this is the marks or the reference spots that you have to consider when doing fetal sexing. So for the female, this is your umbilical cord. This is where the vulva will appear, right? No? This is the tail and this would be the hind legs. But for the male reproductive tract is behind the navel. So this is the male sex bud. So with this type of pattern, you can do your fetal sexing, kung male or female. So this one on a female at day 57, we have, this is the genital tubercle. So you have your head, forelegs, hind leg, genital tubercle, and then you have your tail. So if this is a male, the genital tubercle would be here kasi ito yung navel. Okay? So now on a male, ayan, ito yung umbilical cord, and then ito yung genital tubercle, nandito yung head, hind legs, ito yung tail. Okay? So yan, it's a skill that's very exciting to learn. So other figures we have here, no, sa penis, ito yung penis niya, kasi ito yung ano niya, hind legs niya. Okay. Tapos ito naman, okay. And fetal sexing, yan. So accuracy is very high. And other examinations would be on the laboratory part. So we can use the milk progesterone assay, but this can only be done if the animal is lactating. So what if this is a spring heifer, not yet lactating? Or what if it is a dry animal, so not lactating? So you cannot do this, okay? It's easy to do this for lactating farms, for dairy farms, because you just get the milk samples as when they're being milked. So no stress at all for the cow. So not invasive, okay? Not time consuming because you don't have to round it up for another special procedure. Okay, they go to the milking parlor twice a day. So no, you can like if you miss an animal in the morning, so you can go back in the afternoon to do this, no? It's very easy. It's a cow side test, meaning you don't have to go to the lab to do this, no? So you can do this beside the cow and get the results. Okay. Yan. Proceed. No, so as early as 21 days, you can do this. Yan. Pero yung restriction is it has to be on lactating animals only. Ayan. So the accuracy is also high. So for some farms that do not want to have their own ultrasound, in the States, they do this. because you know the vet bills are high for farm veterinarians in the States, no, not here. So we don't do this milk projection assay here on a production level. So mga laboratories like kunyari PCC, now for research purposes, some have already ventured on doing the milk progesterone assay. Okay, next is another test, no, to determine the presence of the bovine pregnancy specific protein B. And this is expensive, no? And because of the radioimmunoassay that's needed as part of the determining the determination of the presence of these trophoblasts. Okay, they can be performed also for early pregnancy, but not as accurate because you only have an 86% specific, 71% sensitivity. And then going to the last part, we have this early pregnancy factor, and which requires production of the fertilized ovum, okay, which is something that is really present for pregnancy. And it appears in 4 to 6 months, so you can also do this very, very, very early, no? So even earlier than the 21 days ultrasonography, kasi ano to within the day of the mating, no, you can do this, but not practical. So that's why it's not being done here. So parang more of for research purposes. Okay. Ayan. So the test sensitivity is the same as that of the bovine specific protein B test at 86%, okay? Ay, 71% yun. Ito 86. Specificity to that was 86. Ito 4% lang, okay? So medyo mababa yung accuracy ng early pregnancy factor. Kasi honestly, it's very difficult, no? To determine presence, and it disappears in 4 to 6 hours. So paano kung wala ka dun sa window when you did the test, no? So that's why this is very difficult to do. Okay, do you have any questions before we proceed to the pregnancy diagnosis in mares? Okay, sige. For this species, it's somewhat similar with that of cattle. So parang ang foundation principles nyo would be coming from cattle, tapos may slight differences lang because of on laboratory examinations, yung medyo konti yung tinitingnan natin. And then may addition na kailangan natin gawin, like if in case we have detected that the mare is pregnant with a twin, we have to kill the weaker twin, no? Kasi if you will continue with the pregnancy, there's a very, very high chance that the pregnancy will be terminated. So you just have to prioritize one. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to do pregnancy diagnosis talaga in mares to ensure that there's would only be one that will emerge as the winner, no? Isa lang talaga. But hindi naman siya very common that twinnings happen. But it's important for you to be on top of your breeding, okay? Kasi these are precious animals, no? They are not really production animals kasi they are specialized, they have a specialized role. And that could be, you know, for racing, for leisure, for therapy, yan, ganun yung mga purposes ng mga animals, ng mga horses dito sa Philippines. But also for draft, no? First, dun sa mga farmers natin. Okay. So the progesterone coming from the corpus luteum, diba, from your fissure tree, okay, they would increase the tone of the uterus and then the cervix, and that would help in diagnosis when you do the rectal palpation, okay? And the estrogen, of course, will synergistic, yeah. There's a synergistic effect together with the estrogen to have that exaggerated tone when you palpate the uterus and then the cervix, okay? So the vesicle, so amniotic vesicle is spherical and can be palpated from 18 days, okay? through 60 to 7 days. So parang yan yung rectal palpation, which is the same for cattle. So 60 to 7 days. And through ultrasound, it can be done earlier, no? So dun sa cattle, 21 days. Pero ito, as early as 12 days. Pero hindi to regularly being done na ganun ka-early, no? Yan. The ovaries are active, no, during pregnancy, which is the same for cattle, with large follicles palpable especially around 18 to 23 days and 36 to 45 days. So, mas prone to gestational heat ang mga mares as compared to cattle, no? So, how prone is prone? Kasi kunyari sa cattle, ang gestational heat, na-observe ko lang mga 10%, no, of all the cattle that I have examined. So for horses, parang mga 50% and above, ganun siya ka-frequent ang gestational heat. So the ovaries are more active in mares than in dams, okay, or than in cows. Mas sila, meron pa silang tertiary follicle kahit buntis na sila, so that's why they're still showing the So how can you say that the animal is in estrus, diba? So from your topic 2 weeks ago, meron silang calling, maingay, frequent urination, yung mga ganon, no? So those are signs na shared by the large animals. Okay? So you can detect no estrogen from the urine. So that's one of the pregnancy diagnosis that we use for mares, no? So we collect the urine and we determine the level of the estrogen. And that would help. No, same as with humans, no? Pero yung sa humans, even early in the pregnancy, madedetect mo na siya. Pero dun sa mares, mas more on the late pregnancy siya ginagawa. Okay? Okay, next, on the external signs, they are just the same. So we will proceed to the next slide. So for the rectal palpation, they can, practitioners do it even on the 21st day of the post-mating. So it's a lot earlier than how we do it with the cattle. And then we feel no cervical changes. So when you become an equine practitioner, when you do rectal, theratogenology for horses, mas more work, no? Because you have to palpate and you have to do ultrasound in the mares often than with cows. Kasi with cows, yun yung mga times, no? 30 days, 60 days, tapos na. With a mare, no? You start talaga on post-breeding as early 7 days, check mo na yan. 14 days, check. 21 days, check. Mga ganun siya. No? Ganun siya ka-rigorous. Yan. Okay, so size of the chorionic vesicle is, and this is what we try to monitor over the weeks that we are on top of the pregnancy of the mare. So we have yan as na different sizes that we see here. Next, we have the urinary estrogens, no? And this could be done on the mid part of the pregnancy to the latter part, okay? And we have this Discoboni test. And it would be 100% accurate as we go through the 150 days of the pregnancy. So it could become not transparent, cloudy. Yan yung Coboni test. Merong mga bubbles and it would appear cloudy. Yan yung positive. Okay, and that's it for the pregnancy diagnosis of mares. Do you have any questions?